All right, this video is going to walk you through how to solve for x and y when we have two numbers missing from a matrix, but yet you know what it equals when you square it. So what you have to do is break this up into a new kind of equation where you're going to write it out by hand. Whenever you're trying to find missing letters that are missing, you really can't jump in and use your calculator. It would be so nice if you could just square root this thing, but we do not have that operation with matrices. You could also think about taking the matrix here A and then also, or taking this answer matrix right here to the 1/2 power, and that would also cancel out the square. But if you try that, you'll notice it doesn't work either. So what you have to do is write it out by hand. So as you do that, you'll say, hey, let's just take the A matrix times itself, and then that should equal the answer of what it says right here for A squared. Now, if you know how to multiply matrices by hand, this will not be too hard to do. If you're going to try to first of all recognize the X shows up in row 1, and it also shows up in column 1. So we have to look at what answer is in row 1, column 1, that's -5. So as you write this out, we're going to say, if I want to find out the answer to row 1, column 1, which I already know is -5, I can use the matrix elements over here on the left and figure out what it is supposed to equal and then solve the equation that's left for X. So if I take row 1 times column 1, you multiply the first number of that row times the first number of that column. In doing so, that makes X times X. And then if I do the second number of that row times the second number of that column, which is -2, I'll then get -6. So now what I have then is that if I take X times X plus 3 times -2, the answer is supposed to be coming out in the spot for row 1, column 1, which is -5. And that equation looks like this. X squared minus 6 equals -5. But to finish solving this equation, you have to add 6 to both sides and then eventually square root. You'll have x squared equals 1, and when you square root, don't forget there are two numbers you can square to get 1 as your answer. And those two answers will be 1 and -1. Now you'll notice also the y's. The y's show up here in row 2, and they also show up in column 1 or column 2. So I would want to know the answer to row 2, column 2, which is a 3. And we'll set up an equation for that one also. So as I go through this next part here for row 2, column 2, you're going to take row 2 times column 2 and take -2 times 3, and also take the second number of the row, y, times the second number of the column here, y, and get y squared equals the row 2, column 2 answer. Finally, as you multiply out the values, you get -6 plus y squared equals 3. As you solve the equation, you'll add 6 to the right side and make a 9, and then eventually you'll have y squared equals 9. But again, to solve this, you have to square root both sides and get y equals 3 and -3. So now we've got kind of a mess of answers. There's going to be some combinations here possibly that might not work. So we have to go back to the original statement right here and replace the x and y's with combinations of 1s and -1s and 3s and -3s, and then some of them are going to work and some of them are not going to work. So for you to know what the answers are that go in the blanks for your homework right here, you have to then figure out what is the right combination of positive and -1s and 3s. I've already taken time to do that already, but I went down through each possible way of doing it. If I were to do a -1 and a +3, that answer actually equals what it's supposed to be right here. But when you do a +1 and a +3, it doesn't work. It does not make the same matrix as this. Same thing as a +1 and a -3, that doesn't work, and same thing with a -1 and a -3, that doesn't work. So our final answer to this question is the one that works is going to be finally saying that the answer is going to be x equals -1 and +3. So x equals -1 and y is going to equal +3. That is it. And hopefully this video helps you walking through a difficult question like this where you solve for x and y. Hopefully this video helps, and good luck.